Pokemon Scarlet and Violet always had its issues. It was always extremely laggy, or it glitched out a hell of a lot, and a lot of people lost hope for the game. Until June 5th. And a savior has come in the Nintendo Switch 2. In this video, I'm going to be comparing what Pokemon Scarlet and Violet looked like on the Switch 1 and what it looked like on the Switch 2. And is it going to be worth replaying Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on the Switch 2? I've been doing YouTube for a while now, and I'm very happy with where I am. But I do want more, and I want 5,000 subscribers, more specifically by the end of the year. Any help to get that will be greatly appreciated. Mainly, you can subscribe. This would really help bump that number up. But the best thing you could do as well is also like the video. This will push the video out to more people, getting more people subscribing, and that would be fantastic. Any help would be greatly appreciated. Enjoy the video. A lot of criticism came with this game, so we're going to be testing 4 different areas. We're going to be testing one of the most demanding cities in the game. We're also going to be testing the main DLC area in the Indigo Plateau. We're also going to be testing the lag in the Kitakami area, and we're finally going to be testing what it's like in the water, because that was one of the main upgrades that people said was coming. Okay, so starting off, obviously, we're in the main area for the DLC, and I think this area is, it looks absolutely awful, in my opinion, to be completely and utterly honest with yourself. I think it looks awful, and the frame rate drop when you're in this area, it can get quite poor, but I think one thing you have got to remember with this area is, I think it is a poor design. 100%. It's very much a poor design of what they've gone for. This game isn't made for the Switch 1. Like, it doesn't suit it at all. It was a big miss, and I'm hoping that the Switch 2 elevates this by a tenfold, because this looks absolutely awful. I mean, look at that person down there, just moving about 4 frames per second. Like, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. Okay, and here we are in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on the Nintendo Switch 2. And I must say, I think my capture card's a little bit out of date, so if it looks a little bit poor on the screen, I am really sorry. I'll start saving up for a better capture card. But it looks so incredible. I think even on the bit of the poor capture card, you could kind of tell a major difference. The area, like I said in the last comparison, I think it's a bit, to be honest with yourself, quite poor design. But it runs a lot more nice. And I remember there was a guy down here. I mean, like, those people, they are quite far away. And last time they were that far away, they were lagging. They were about 4 frames per second. Even the water over there, like, look at the person down on the phone. Like, it looks so much better. It looks incredible, to be fair. And obviously here now with the side-by-side comparison, I think it's very evident you can see a major difference in just the way the character moves, for example, and just the colours. It looks a lot nicer on the eyes, and it's definitely a big step up in this DLC area. Next up is the water area, and I mean, the frame rate drops are absolutely foul. But look how plain and look how boring it looks. Let me get close up. Like, it's so... The frame rate is awful. There's no reflection. It just... Look, there's a bit of a shadow, but it just looks absolutely awful. It looks dull. It looks flat. And it lags all the time. We'll bump this up because it makes the DLC, especially the second one for the Teal Mask, it was decent. But the Indigo Plateau, borderline unplayable because I am struggling to play it because I think it looks very rough. Okay, moving on over to the water section now of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the DLC, the upgraded version. And I think this is where it becomes evident that maybe Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it was a lazily developed game. Because my honest opinion, although it runs a lot better, I think it's still very bland. And I think that doesn't come down to the Switch 2, to be honest. It definitely comes down just to the game. Like, the area itself, like, everything runs quite smoothly. I remember one picture looking like there would be a lot more reflections in the water. And to be honest with yourself, it doesn't look like we have got that. Looking at the Miraidon, there doesn't seem to be that crazy reflection that people were on about. So, kind of a little bit disappointed with that. It did seem to be very hyped up. But, like I said, it does run a lot better. I mean, the Pokemon move a lot more smoother. It's not lagging. Look how many Pokemon are currently on the screen. If this was on the Switch 1, it would be dreadful. Now, one of the main issues for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was obviously the performance, and the performance is a big thing when it comes to games, obviously. And Game Freak always said the reason performance on these games have been bad is because the Switch doesn't have the capabilities for the game. And now they're having they've put their eggs in that basket, and now they have the opportunity to show it off. So hopefully they have a point, and the Switch 2 version can basically elevate it. But performance in this game has always been an issue, especially around laggy areas. And from my game time I'm playing this, it was always the crystal pool. I mean, evidently, look how bad this is. Like, the jumping in then, I feel like I dropped down to... I wish I could have a frame rate counter, honestly. But, like, look how bad they look. If this was on a console, for example, a Switch 2, which would run well, hopefully, then this could look absolutely fantastic. And I was really looking... I mean, look how awful it is. Really looking forward to getting to this area, and for it to look like this, it looks awful. And the frame rate, like, look at the falling, look at the jumping in. This is, like... Oh, it's absolutely awful. And I think that kind of shows how bad the frame rate issues were, and I think this is a very, very good area to show that off. So, you know, this is the big test. This was the mega laggy spot in the last one, and I'm nervous because this is the one that kind of caused the most issues. Jumping in the pool was a big issue. It created mega lag, so let's go, and oh my god. That looks actually really good. It's smooth, it doesn't lag, and that's the main thing I'm looking for. Obviously, like we said, this game was built to be a Switch 1 game. All they've really done is improve the frame rate. It doesn't drop as much. I mean, the Pokemon themselves, they look so good as well. But they didn't look so bad in the last game, certain points. It was just a case of, like I said, this game was made for the Switch 1, and they haven't really updated major parts of it. But what they have updated is what was needed to be updated. The frame rate drop, sorry, and the overall consistency of the game. And I stopped playing the DLC because of the frame rate drop. It kind of killed it a little bit for me. But now that they've got this could easily be very, very playable. Just a quick one I haven't even done the comparison with, but like the Pokemon in this as well. Like I'm in, I think, the Charged Cave or something like that. I mean, look how good that looks. The charge, it just looks brilliant. And like, you gotta give them credit where credit's due. They have absolutely cooked. Look, I know I've been slating it as well a lot during this, but this is one bit of the game I will say I didn't actually mind. Lumiose City, I think, looks really good. Don't get me wrong, it could look a hell of a lot better. It still looks quite... not dull in a sense. There's a lot to going on. There's obviously all the lights and stuff like that, but it kind of looks... doesn't have the best graphics, so, you know... the improvements on that hopefully will be best, but I do think that this is one of the better cities that they did introduce into this game. And this game isn't like completely awful. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not good, but the story was good, and I think apart from the story, I think it was lacking a lot. But this doesn't look too bad. I think obviously these in the back, they look a bit plain, and this is what we just need. We just need a little bit more depth to the game. We need a little bit more just oomph. I think that there's no better way for it personally. And I think that's one thing they kind of cut corners on, and I think it's evidence, and I'm hoping for a little bit more. See, this city now, Lumiose, is actually one of the areas I praised in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on the Switch 1, because it still looked really good. But I mean, oh my lord, this looks a hell of a lot better. It looked really, like I said, it looked good on the Switch 1. This was one of the areas that had a very good design, to be fair to Game Freak. We gave it criticism for having poor design on most of the other areas, but they definitely hit the mark with this one. And this area does look absolutely stunning, especially the night. I've waited about half an hour for it to turn to night. And honestly, like I said, it looks absolutely great. The people, there's a lot less lagging, I find as well, from people far away, which is one of the big criticisms I did have with the other areas as well. I think it definitely improves the game. Like I said, this game's so much more playable now, and I think that's the main thing that everyone wanted, was just 60 FPS, which we are getting now. And it almost looks too smooth. It almost looks wrong, and it's making me a bit uncomfortable on how good this game is now looking. Like I said, now with a comparison, like the light beams themselves, they look a lot more clear. The buildings in the back look decent as well. And I think the main improvements we are seeing in regards to this now is the fact that it just runs a lot smoother. The lag is the main one. Like I said, we got to remember this is a Switch 1 game, and I think they've done a hell of a lot of work and a hell of a lot of effort to make this work on the Switch 2. So credit to Nintendo, credit to Game Freak to actually upgrading it as well. You've done great. And this is what ultimately comes down to. It runs so much better on the Switch 2. So, and the fact that it is a free upgrade, I think they realized that the game did run very poorly. I would say a million percent worth it. Obviously, if you're going to be buying in a Nintendo Switch 2 and you have Pokemon Scarlet or Violet, definitely get the upgrade. It's literally, it comes on with it. You don't have a choice. It runs so much better. And I was a little bit nervous for it, but I'm very impressed. So, Nintendo, Game Freak, well done. You have cooked with this one. Fair play.